It started on a Wednesday, raining, cold, and late enough that the streets shimmered under flickering street lamps. I'd just clocked in for my night shift at Metro Dash, a grocery delivery service that usually caters to third shifters and insomniacs. The app buzzed with a new request almost immediately. Unusual, considering the time. The name on the order simply read Mr. Wren. No last name. No phone number. The shopping list was oddly specific. A gallon of spring water, raw liver, sea salt, 7 cloves of garlic, and strangely candle wax. Not candles. Wax. What stood out even more was the delivery address. 214 Graver Lane. I paused. That street didn't ring any bells, and I'd lived in this city my entire life. I even checked my Maps app. Nothing. Blank space between 2 existing blocks. Still, the app allowed me to accept the order. The moment I did, the screen glitched, just for a second, and then showed a route through an old, overgrown trail I had never seen before. I chalked it up to the cold meds I'd taken and figured it was one of those rich recluse types who lived in some forgotten edge of town. When I arrived at the trail, fog hugged the ground like a living thing. The GPS pinged once, "You've arrived," and then went black. I drove slowly, headlights barely cutting through the thick mist. Trees leaned in close, branches scraping against my windows. My signal dropped entirely. Just as I was considering turning around, I saw it. A gate, rusted and slightly open, creaking in the wind. Beyond it stood a house. Victorian style. 3 stories tall. Its windows were black and empty, like eyes that had forgotten how to blink. It was surrounded by dead rose bushes and leaning tombstones. That should have been my first clue that something was off. But I was tired. I wanted to drop off the order and go. I stepped out of the car, grocery bag in hand. The house looked wrong. It felt like it had been sketched from memory, slightly imperfect. The shutters were uneven, the porch sagged, and the front door had a keyhole that looked large enough for a human eye. Still, I knocked. Once. Twice. The door opened before my hand hit the wood a 3rd time. No one was there. A note sat on a small, ornate table inside the foyer. It read, in swirling script, "Leave the bag on the floor. Payment in the drawer." Something moved upstairs, creaking, then silence. I placed the bag down, opened the drawer, and froze. Inside wasn't cash. There were bones. Small ones. Human-like. The house groaned behind me. A low, almost living sound. I bolted, slamming the door behind me and speeding off, gravel spraying behind my tires. By morning, I tried to look up the address again. Nothing. No Graver Lane. Number 214. Just blank space. But the worst part? That night, I got another order. I told myself I wouldn't accept another order from Mr. Wren. Not after what I saw in that drawer, the small bones, neatly arranged like a child's puzzle. But curiosity has a way of eating at the sane part of your brain. The next night, the order came through again. Same name. Same list. 1 extra item this time. 2 black candles. Must be unlit. The app froze when I tapped decline. Then it blinked and registered the order as accepted. I stared at my phone. No sound, no vibration. Just the glowing map lighting a path to Graver Lane again. This time, the trail looked shorter, more defined, like the house was getting closer to the rest of the world. I had to know what this place was. I followed the same misty path, but tonight, the fog was thinner. The trees seemed less wild, and I noticed fresh tire marks on the dirt road. Someone else had been here. The gate stood open again, as if waiting. The house loomed taller now, its silhouette sharper against the cloudy sky. This time, one of the upstairs windows was glowing faintly yellow, like candlelight flickering behind dirty curtains. I stepped out of the car, and this time, I took a flashlight with me. The front door opened before I even reached the porch. The same note was there, but now it had fresh ink. No noise. Do not look upstairs. I hesitated. There was movement, slow and deliberate, on the staircase just beyond the foyer. A figure stood halfway up. Pale. Slender. Too tall to be natural. Its head was tilted downward, long hair obscuring its face. I blinked, and it was gone. The drawer was shut again, but this time, I didn't open it. I just dropped the bag and backed away, heart pounding. As I turned to leave, something new caught my eye. There was a door at the end of the hallway. A door that hadn't been there the night before. It was smaller than the others, child-sized, and painted the same dull gray as the rest of the walls. It pulsed subtly like it was breathing. I don't know what compelled me. I should have run, but I stepped toward it. The moment my hand touched the doorknob, I heard it, a shrill scream, muffled, coming from inside the walls. Not from behind the door. Inside the walls. I staggered back, flashlight shaking. The house groaned again, but this time, it sounded like it was laughing. I sprinted to my car, but when I looked back once, just once, the house had changed. There were now 2 stories, not 3. The top floor was gone, as if it had never existed. The trees were closer to the house than before. And something stood in the window, tall, unmoving, watching me. I drove away in silence. When I got home, I checked my delivery history. There was no record of Mr. Wren. No Graver Lane. No order. Only a message blinking on the app screen. See you tomorrow. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the door, the small, breathing one, and the tall figure in the stairwell. I even considered quitting Metro Dash, deleting the app, tossing my phone into a river. But I didn't. Because the next night, the order didn't come through the app. It came to my door. A paper bag sat on my porch. No note, no phone, no person in sight. But I knew the handwriting scribbled on the side of the bag, elegant, curling ink. Delivered to 214 Graver Lane. Tonight. Inside the bag was the same strange list, plus something new, a matchbox. Hand-carved. Inside were 3 long black matches, wicked-looking, like they were made of bone instead of wood. This time, the air felt different as I drove. The route to Graver Lane was no longer off the map. It had appeared on GPS. As if the house was finally being acknowledged by the world. Or invading it. The trail was paved now. Smooth. Too smooth. Trees cleared. Streetlights installed. My skin crawled the moment I noticed there were no bugs, no animals, no sound, just silence, like the entire area had been drained of life. The gate creaked open by itself. And this time there were footprints in the mud. Multiple sets. The porch light was on. The front door was wide open. I didn't knock. The air inside was damp and sweet, like rotting flowers. The hallway looked different now. The wallpaper, once peeling and dull, was pristine. The staircase gleamed with fresh polish. A chandelier swayed above me gently, though there was no breeze. And the small gray door? Gone. In its place stood a full-length mirror. But it didn't reflect the hallway behind me. It reflected a forest. Dense, overgrown. Pulsing with movement. I reached toward the glass, and it felt warm. Suddenly, footsteps thudded overhead. Not slow like before. Rushed. Heavy. I backed away, heart racing, but something stopped me from running. A voice. Childlike. Whispering from the mirror. Don't leave me here. I turned. Nothing. Then again whispered, trembling, urgent. They buried me here. They used me. I stumbled backward, knocking the grocery bag over. Everything spilled. The matchbox cracked open, and one match rolled straight to the mirror's base. Without thinking, I picked it up and struck it. Flame hissed. For just a second, the mirror flickered, like a video glitch, and I saw something else. A basement. Chains. Bones. A small figure curled in a corner, sobbing. Then the image vanished. My reflection returned. Except it wasn't me. The person in the mirror was older. Gonto. Wearing my uniform. Their lips moved silently, but I couldn't hear the words. I dropped the match and ran. Out the door. Into the night. Back to my car. As I reversed out of the driveway, I looked into the rearview mirror and saw the house was no longer behind me. It was next to me. On my street. The moment I saw the house from Graver Lane standing next to mine, I slammed the brakes. It wasn't a replica. It was the exact same house, same rotting shutters, same skewed chimney, same scent of mold and damp wood that had followed me since the second night. The fog that had once only clouded the woods now hugged the corners of my neighborhood, swallowing porch lights and sidewalks. The air felt wrong, thicker, charged, like the atmosphere before lightning strikes. I stumbled out of the car, heart pounding. My neighbors' houses were dim. No lights, no movement. As if the entire block had fallen asleep, or worse. I crept toward the house. I had to know why it was here. Why it followed me. There was no note this time. Just a light flickering in the upstairs window. The front door opened as I approached, slow and creaking. An invitation or a warning, I couldn't tell. Inside, the air was colder than before. The hallway had shifted again. The mirror was gone, replaced by a grandfather clock that ticked irregularly. Paintings hung on the walls, portraits of people I didn't recognize. Some of them were missing faces. Some looked eerily familiar, like warped versions of people I passed in the grocery store or saw on my delivery routes. I stepped deeper in, and the door slammed shut behind me. Suddenly, the air filled with whispers. Not just one voice, dozens. Overlapping. Muted but pleading. Some sobbed. Some laughed. Some spoke in languages I didn't recognize. I followed them. The voices led me to a stairwell at the back of the house, one I hadn't seen before. Narrow, steep, and spiraling downward. It shouldn't have fit inside the house. But I descended anyway, flashlight trembling in my hand. The basement was damp and endless. Rows of grocery bags lined the walls. Hundreds of them, rotting fruit, mold-covered bread, spilled milk curdling in corners. Some had tags with names, delivery drivers, I realized. Their uniforms still inside the bags, stained and stiff. I was standing in a mausoleum for delivery workers. And then I saw it, the gray door. It had returned. But now it was open, swinging slightly on its hinges. Something was waiting inside. I stepped closer, heart in my throat. Inside the small room was a girl, pale, barefoot, eyes wide with terror. She looked no older than 10. She was curled on the floor, surrounded by roots that were moving. She looked up at me. Her voice cracked when she spoke. "You brought the last piece. Now it can finish." Before I could speak, the roots surged from the walls, grabbing her, pulling her back. She didn't scream. She just whispered, "Help it grow." And then she vanished into the earth. Behind me, the voices grew louder. Furious. The house trembled. Something ancient was waking. I bolted up the stairs, stumbling, breathless, slipping on something slick. Milk? Blood? I didn't stop to check. The house groaned around me, the floorboards pulsing like veins underfoot. The portraits on the walls now watched me, their eyes wide and unblinking, some weeping dark tears, some smiling. And from the walls vines crept. Fast. Alive. They were trying to trap me inside. I crashed through the front door just as the vines scraped my ankle, tearing at my shoes. I barely made it off the porch. Behind me, the house let out a deep, inhuman sound, like something exhaling after centuries of sleep. It shook the ground. Lights on nearby houses flickered. A car alarm went off. Then silence. And when I turned back, the house was gone. Not in the way things disappear. Gone like it had never been there. No foundation, no debris. Just an empty lot where overgrown grass swayed in an unnatural wind. I was shaking. That night, I deleted the Metro Dash app, tossed my work phone into a storm drain, and vowed never to deliver groceries again. It was over. Or so I thought. A week passed. And then the doorbell rang. A single paper bag sat on my porch. Same handwriting. Elegant ink. Final delivery. You must finish what you started. Inside was a single item. A seed. Jet black. Pulsing with heat. The bottom of the bag was soaked with something thick and red. I didn't touch it. I burned the bag. Or I tried. But the flames wouldn't catch. The match fizzled. The bag refused to burn. That night I saw it again. The house. In my backyard. Half-formed. Like it had grown up out of the ground, twisted and writhing with roots, windows still shaping themselves like eyelids opening for the first time. I knew what it wanted. It didn't want groceries. It wanted to be fed. Fed with belief, fear, memory. Fed with me. I stood frozen as the front door slowly creaked open. Inside was the girl again, staring out with empty eyes, her voice barely a whisper through the night air. "You're the last delivery." I ran. I left the city that night. I don't use apps anymore. I don't go near wooded neighborhoods. And I never, ever look at abandoned houses. But sometimes, when I stop for gas or pass a back road, I see it. Just for a moment. 214 Graver Lane. Somewhere it shouldn't be. Still waiting. Growing. And I know one day it won't wait anymore. It'll find me again. Because I never made that final delivery. And I think I might be the seed.